sitting there with the headband on, and Karis LeVert has a headband as well. And Jared Allen's like, oh, you have to go with, headband Harris. That's what JA says. And it's just, Joe Harris just seems like a guy you want to be around. He didn't leave Brooklyn throughout the entire pandemic. He stayed in the borough, and he just epitomizes the Brooklyn Nets culture. And he's looked upon there as a veteran to lead what is a very young team that the Nets sent down there. And he's just all over the Nets social media, making light of things. He was the referee of a pool race earlier today with Rodion Kurucs and Garrett Temple, and he's just a guy people want to be around. He posted him drinking a Corona, and he said, "Find your beach." I thought that was pretty entertaining, because they're in the bubble. They're just entertaining each other. Him and Garrett Temple went golfing, so he's a low key pick for me.
So the last guy, my next kind of pick, my fourth pick, is a glue guy, Jason, a guy who he makes everything go together. And that's Pat Beverly, who has been a low-key Bubble Life All-Star with his intro video where he's like, I think he has the line that we're going to have repeated over and over, which is that the bubble is what you make of it. So for all of the J.R. Smith level antics, which are delightful and entertaining, I also love the guys like Pat Beverly who are able to say, basically, and I mean, Myers Leonard talked about this too, but, put it all in perspective to say, at the end of the day, we're really lucky to be where we are, playing basketball for a living and making the best of the situation. So I loved that. So he is my fourth pick. Jason, do you have one more guy to fill out your squad?
Oh, this is a tough call. I think I'm going to have to go with Hassan Whiteside. I thought Hassan Whiteside doing the videos with the Disney filters and, just having fun and making light of the situation, I thought was really well done. So he's going to be my sneaky pick.
All right. The last guy I have to do is I have to say, I don't know. I had trouble figuring out who had the best fishing trip, but I think it might have been Montrezl Harrell who had a whopper of a fish. That, Twitter, come at me. Tell me if I'm wrong here. I don't know. But out of all the guys who went fishing, it seemed like he got the biggest one. So he's going to get my last spot because clearly in Bubble Life, you need to have one person who can hunt and gather, make sure that the team stays fed just in case. So that's our all-star teams. I had Montrez, Lou Williams, Toby, and Bobby, and, of course, Myers Leonard. And, Jason, you had J.R. Smith. You had Joe Harris. You had Hassan Whiteside.
Yes.
And who were the last two? I'm missing the last two.
J.J. Redick and J.R. Smith.
Yeah, there we go. So that's the good, Jason. But we, of course, we also had some bad, didn't we, Jason?
Well, I had an honorary pick for my All-Star, and that was Kelly Oubre for his hilarious tweets, and that kind of segues us into our next segment here on Baseline Jumper. But to get serial for a second, there were 322 players in the bubble tested for COVID-19 since arriving in Orlando. 2 have tested positive, obviously due to HIPAA laws. We don't know who those players are. But largely it's been positive, right? They got everyone in. Not many people are sick. Thankful for that. And you have to give a shout out real quick to the staff. Everyone in the bubble
Absolutely.
Risking their health to pull this off. You have the Disney cast members, the staffers working at the resort, people from the league working there, vendors, drivers, chefs, masseuses, barbers, just everybody across the board, because you are making the NBA happen. You're making sure the players are comfortable. So, and you're going home to your family every night, which is a huge health risk.
The real MVPs of this.
Yeah, the real MVPs are the people working behind the scenes to make this bubble happen. But this kind of gets into some of the Shaqtin' a Fools.
The LVPs.
The LVPs of NBA bubble life, because you had 2 players who are still being quarantined for breaking the rules, Ben. I mean, 2 positive tests. Those players were sent away. Everyone's doing a great job. Shout out to the staff. But, I mean, you went across the street to get food. And Kelly Oubre is my sneaky pick because he tweeted, NBA bros, I know the food sucks here, but Postmates delivers. Security won't handle the food, but go meet them across the street. And then when Rashawn Holmes got in trouble, and I think he has another 5 or 6 days left on his quarantine, he tweeted, never mind. So Kelly Oubre, sneaky Twitter handle there, and he's my sneaky pick for Bubble Life All-Star.
So maybe my favorite tweet was when they had – so Bruno Caboclo allegedly said he didn't know that he wasn't allowed to leave his room, which I feel like anyone who follows the NBA at this point knew that rule. It was very clear. Not sure how he didn't get it, but in response to that, one of the people on Twitter, and NBA Twitter is a wonderful place, says Bruno Caboclo is 4 days away from being 4 days away from getting back to NBA activities, which I thought was an absolutely A-level tweet. So both of those guys, not all-stars, unfortunately. The staff, the essential workers, definitely are all-stars, as well as some of the guys we mentioned. But, beyond that, I think that this kind of also segues into sort of the other piece of this, Jason, which is the logistical component that we're starting to see. And we know that there's going to be changes. We know there's not going to be any fans. We know that some of the other things are going to be changing. I mean, has there been anything that's kind of taken you back about this that has really made you realize how much different this is going to be compared to the normal NBA season?
Yeah, I mean, the key element here is fashion. As I sit here in a gray T-shirt and basketball shorts, but usually players drive their own cars to the arena, or for road games they are on the team bus and they're decked out in suits and jackets and really cool shoes and sunglasses and hairstyles. But this is going to be very much like the AAU, where they have to get dressed in their hotel rooms, go to the games, warm up, go back to their rooms to shower. So the fact that they can't wear their own clothes, I mean, obviously it means they were able to pack a lot lighter, unless you're PJ Tucker and brought 67 pairs of shoes. That's going to be an adjustment where it's going to be like college AAU, where guys are just showing up to the arena ready to play in their warm-ups. So that's a really different aspect that we're not used to.
Yeah, and you mentioned actually one of the guys who has not been cleared yet is one of the most fashionable guys in the league, which is Russell Westbrook, because he just tested positive. And Houston is becoming very interesting because all of a sudden we don't know when Russell Westbrook's going to be back to full strength. I mean, some of the guys have said, hey, I'm not back to full strength in some respects. Rudy Gobert talked about a sense of smell, things like that. So we don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, Jason, you're someone who's actually had COVID, so you know a little bit more than the average person at this. But we don't know what's going on with Russell Westbrook, when he's going to be back, and James Harden's still not in the bubble. I mean, do you have concerns? Obviously the most important thing is health. We want Russell Westbrook to get back healthy. We hope everything's going well with James Harden. I don't want to speculate, but I also do wonder, he's one of the NBA players who has a known history of asthma. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's kind of waiting it out to wait until kind of some of that stuff dies down. That might have something to do with it. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. But outside of that, Jason, I mean, on the basketball side of this, are you worried for the Houston Rockets who feel like they're kind of getting their last shot? I mean, if this doesn't go well, that group is not going to be together next season. I mean, the writing is already on the wall.
This is the tough part because we're dealing with something that is absolutely none of our business, right? These are players' health in their personal lives. So, it leaks that Harrison Barnes is positive, Russell Westbrook's positive, didn't go to Orlando. My first thought was that Westbrook was with the Rockets and was one of the players to test positive for COVID while in the bubble. That's not the case. So we're looking at athletes who are always in the public eye. And now us as fans, as members of the media, we're clamoring for their health information over basketball. Makes absolutely no sense to me. So the Rockets went to Orlando without Westbrook, Harden, and Luc Mbah a Moute. And we don't know if it's because of health. We don't know if it's because someone in their family's sick. And frankly, it is none of our damn business. So we just have to hope that Westbrook gets healthy and gets to Orlando in time to play, and ditto for James Harden. Because like I've been saying in past weeks, this is not about basketball. This is about health and livelihood. And the NBA thus far has done a great job. They got 95% of everyone that needs to be there safely into the bubble and ready to rock and roll. But the Rockets look like one of those teams that are going to fall very quickly unless Robert Covington, Eric Gordon, and PJ Tucker take over the court. So Harden has to get there ASAP. We don't know his health status. And with Westbrook, he could have been positive a week ago and almost done with his quarantine. We don't know. So kudos to the doctors and the Rockets and Westbrook for actually keeping this quiet until they absolutely had to, when players started to notice that Westbrook's not there. So it's a tough break for the Rockets. But again, it's health and safety over basketball at this point.
Absolutely. I mean, that's obviously the number one priority. From a basketball perspective, I do think, that sound you hear in the background is the clock just ticking because this Rockets team has a new owner, wants to shake things up. And again, without speculating too much, Tillman Fertitta, of all the owners in the league, is one of the guys who's getting hit the hardest as his money is all in restaurants and bars and casinos, things that are overwhelmingly the ones that are getting shut down. One of the kind of running jokes is that all of the restaurants, Jason, down in Orlando that are supplying food happen to be Tillman Fertitta restaurants. So that's an interesting little nugget. But it is interesting to think if this team is going to make it. Another team that is going to be impacted a little bit are the Lakers, Jason, who Avery Bradley made what I would call really a courageous move. I think he knows he was going to get some criticism. He made the courageous move not to come down to Orlando for a variety of reasons. And now the Lakers face another absence. Obviously, J.R. Smith came in to help fill that gap in Dion Waiters. But now they face this bubble, those games, and the playoff run without Rajon Rondo potentially, who's out for, they believe, 6 to 8 weeks with a broken thumb. I mean, what did you make of that, Jason? I mean, does that, for you, impact the Lakers' title chances at all?
See, this is the complete opposite end of the spectrum from the Rockets situation because Rondo got hurt playing basketball. He's healthy, went with the Lakers, and he just hurt his thumb. It's a fractured thumb. He's out for up to 2 months, which brings us into September. So, frankly, the Lakers aren't going to miss him that much. They could get him back in time for the second round of the playoffs or later. The problem is he's not returning to L.A. and being able to play games at the Staples Center. He's going to have to get surgery, get healthy, and then test negative for COVID several times before even being allowed back into the bubble, which complicates things for the Lakers. And it's funny, there was an Instagram video of like Quinn Cook, Anthony Davis, and LeBron playing 2K, and Mario Chalmers commented and was like, "With Rondo out, I'm ready and waiting. Sign me up. I can come play." So the question remains, will the Lakers bring in another point guard? Because they technically can't, because it's a basketball injury, so they don't get a replacement player like they did for Avery Bradley. They're going to have to just have a committee play point. KCP will be in there. You might see Alex Caruso getting some minutes at the one. And then, of course, you have LeBron, who's the best de facto point guard out there for his size and strength. Yeah. So I think they'll be okay. It'll just be a little bit more difficult for Rondo to be reintegrated into the bubble because of everything going
on. All right. Well, we'll get to what I know you've been waiting to talk about, Jason. Your beloved Nets are a little shorthanded going into Orlando. I think that story has already been told. But there are some great replacement players going down there. These are my favorite replacements, Jason, since Keanu Reeves. That reference is going to go over a lot of heads. But my favorite replacements, including the inimitable Michael Beasley, Be Easy, many other nicknames that I texted you. What do you make of all these replacement signings? And what do you think of the Nets?
I'm excited, man. I mean, I know the Nets still don't have much of a chance, but this is twofold. So last week, at the time we recorded, the Nets had 4 roster spots. There were rumors of Justin Anderson taking one. That has not happened as of yet. But last Wednesday, Jamal Crawford getting a chance to come out of retirement, I guess it's pseudo-retirement, and play in the NBA again. It's just great for basketball. A lot of the players in the league were happy that he got a shot. It's a shame that Jamal's not playing on more of a contender. But this is an audition for next season. And it's ditto for all these guys. You have Michael Beasley, who you mentioned is a childhood friend of Kevin Durant, Lance Thomas. All these guys are former Knicks. And then you have Dante Hall, who's a big from the G League that had a cup of coffee with the Pistons, but he'll be there to back up Jared Allen. And I just think that it's good because it makes the Nets a little more competitive, even though all 3 of these guys did not play in the NBA this season. Jamal Crawford and Michael Beasley are both notorious bucket getters. The one caveat is that Beasley has to serve a 5-game suspension for a drug infraction, so he won't be able to play until the Nets' 6th seeding game. However, it's twofold because not only does it make the Nets a little more competitive and interesting in this bubble, but it's also auditions for next year's roster because if Crawford could still light up the scoreboard or Beasley could still get buckets, I mean, they have a chance to be on next year's Nets with Durant, Irving, Dinwiddie, Jordan, LeVert. So that'll just make the Nets that much more loaded. So it's just it's up to Sean Marks instead of going with young guys, which they would have done had they not had superstars on the team. They're going with some guys to see what